Friends, if I could have your attention, please. We're going to ask everybody to please find their seats. We're going to allow those people standing just to pass by the family to offer their condolence, and then please find a seat. Friends, just a gentle reminder before we begin, if everybody could please take a moment to make sure their cell phones are turned on silent or even off. On behalf of the family, I want to thank everybody for joining us here in the chapel, and for those who are watching online, thank you so much for joining us for the services of Mrs. Jean or JiJi Gold. Serving as our rabbi, our clergy today is from the Chicago Mitzvah Campaign, Rabbi Aaron Wolf.
I'll begin with the 23rd Psalm. Mizmor David, Adonai roi lo yachzor, b'nois deshe yabitzeni, amei menuchos yinahaleni. Nafshi yeshovev yancheni, b'magli tzedek leman shmo. Gam ki elech begeitz almoves, lo ira ra ki ata imodi. Shiftecha u'mishantecha heima yenachamuni. Taroich lefanai shulchan neged tzoreroi, Dishanta v'Hashem en roishi koisi revaya. Ach toiv v'chesed yidefuni koyimei chayai, v'shafti beveis Adonai la'orech yomim. In your folder that you received this morning, you can say along with me the English translation. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod, thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today on a Wednesday afternoon to pay tribute, pay our respects, and simply to say goodbye to Jean Gold, in Hebrew, Hannah Adel, the daughter of Natan Nata. It's a day of mourning, no question, but at the same time, we're also here to celebrate the life of a remarkable woman. Jean, her love, kindness, and generosity touched countless of people. Born here in Chicago, then moved to Canada, she grew into a pillar of her community in Canada, where she raised her children, but she raised them with values of compassion, gave them a good education, and tikkun olam. Excuse me. Talking about education, her daughters told me that Jean made the extraordinary sacrifice, we call that a sacrifice, of sending all three of them to Hebrew day school, to parochial school, prioritizing their Jewish education and spiritual growth above personal comforts. There's no doubt, we know what education is like today, okay? Not what it was then, but it was very expensive. Back in those days, whatever the tuition was, it was extremely expensive for, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, whenever there was. That decision, no doubt, meant fewer vacations, perhaps to reduce some of the luxuries that they may introduce into their home. She believed that it was essential for her children to develop a strong foundation in their faith and heritage. Her commitment, Jean's commitment to instilling values of kindness and compassion in her children was evident in the volunteer work she encouraged them to do. When I heard it, I just brought tears. She encouraged her children to go to, this was in Canada, the Canadian National Institute for the Blind, and read for the blind. These are girls that, when they're not in school, they want to have some time on their own. Plenty to do. Maybe today there's much more what to do, but even back in those days, there was plenty they can do at their own free time. But no, Jean said, come with us, come with me. Let's help, let's reach out to the blind, to people who are in need of whatever you can do for them. She taught them the importance of giving back to the community and making a positive impact on the lives of others. Jean's kitchen was the heart of her home, filled with warmth, love, and delicious food. She brought joy to the family and friends through her cooking and celebrating all the holidays. No cutting corners, all the holidays. Preparing for the holidays was a labor of love for her. I can tell you, she used to come to us, Chicago Mitzvah Campaign. We have a senior center in West Rogers Park. For the last couple of years, she's been coming every Wednesday. Ironically, Wednesday. At this time, she would be sitting by us and having lunch, playing mahjong, and here I am, Wednesday. Anyway, so I remember her telling me, I cannot come next Wednesday. Why not? I gotta make the gefilte fish for Yontif. For some odd reason, it's gotta be done Wednesday. Okay, we gave her the okay. So this was really, really important for her to make sure that when we celebrate holidays with the family, it's done the proper way. Shabbat was another very important day for Jean. On Fridays, from what I hear, lighting candles every Friday was a cornerstone of her life. Without fail, she made sure to light those candles, tried not to miss an opportunity to bring peace. That's what candles is all about. Bring peace and tranquility into the house. She had special ties with many families. She found them. She felt that these families she has to connect with and give them all the love and introduce them to her family. So she wanted to have a larger family. So she found people, she found children and families. One example would be the Hoffman family, Jill, Steve, Avi, Zoe, and Nina. This is only one example of many families that she touched with her kindness and generosity. As I mentioned before, it's been a couple of years already. It wasn't easy to get Jean to come and play Mahjong in our building instead of someplace in Skokie. But it took some convincing, and she finally decided to come. And when she started to come, she kept on coming. Okay, unless she was in the hospital or something else that did not allow her to make that trip. Otherwise, she was there, spent many hours over there, and it gave me an opportunity to talk to her, to schmooze with her, to kibitz with her. I look forward to it every single week. Many of us had the privilege of getting to know her at CMC at our mitzvah center. We shared laughter together, and we were creating memories. Her presence, no question, brightened our Wednesday afternoons, and her love for that game was contagious. We all know that Jean is no longer with us, and no longer have to worry about calling Mom, are you okay? Are you feeling good? Can I do something for you? We'll no longer have to do that, but she's gone, but her memory lives on forever. And her soul, her neshama, every one of us are made up of a body and a soul. When the body is no longer there, but the soul is, it lives on forever. I heard from many, many families over the years when they told me they walked back into the house and they felt like, no, this is her home. They felt like she's here. They can't describe it. No one can describe it, but there's a feeling of the spirit and the neshama lives on in that house. One day you'll tell me. And no doubt that she will deeply be missed by her children, Julie, Tammy, Cindy, and Alan Katz, her grandchildren, Jonathan, Jacqueline, many nieces and nephews who were so dear to her heart. Her legacy of love, kindness, and generosity will live on through the countless lives that she touched. You know, there's a custom that when we say a name of someone who is no longer with us, sometimes we say Zichrono Livracha, and sometimes we say Alav HaShalom. I'm sure you've heard both. What does that mean? Zichrono Livracha means her memory will be for a blessing. Whenever we remember her, we only think of good things. And that sheds a lot of light in our own lives. Zichrono Livracha, no question we can use this term for Jean. Whenever she will be remembered, it'll be for a blessing. Alav HaShalom, may peace be upon her. That's the translation of those two words. Yes, we always say, let her rest in peace, let he rest in peace. What does that mean? Because, goes without saying, this simple translation we all know, no more suffering, no more doctor's appointments, we know that. But she also is going up high. She's going to a different world. She's going to Gan Eden. And over there, she is going to bring peace not only for herself, but she is going to advocate for her entire family and all her friends and loved ones that are left behind. She, Alav HaShalom, it's upon her to bring shalom to all of us who miss her and all of us who love her, who've been in touch with her for all these years. And now we can rely that Alav HaShalom, she will bring peace upon all of us. I would like to call upon Julie, Tammy, and Cindy, followed by Jonathan and Jacqueline, and finally by Zoe.
Looking out at everyone today, it's a real testament to how much my mother was loved by family and friends, from near and far. Mom, Grandma, JiJi, just a few names for such a wonderful and an amazing woman. There's not enough time for me to express all I felt for my mom. She was such a great person, inside and out. She was loved by all who knew her, or even people that just met her for the very first time. She was my best friend. Most people know that my mom possessed a unique quality with babies. She just had a special touch with them. Just a few days ago, I showed her pictures of her great niece and nephew, and she just lit up. Aside from raising 3 daughters, Mom had 2 wonderful grandchildren, Jonathan and Jacqueline. I know when they were small, Mom wished that she could have been closer to them in distance, as she was still in Canada. It made it a little tricky. My mom was always in awe of Jonathan's vast knowledge of so many things, also his quick wit and sense of humor, and his great taste in nail polish for his grandma. He loved his grandma's homemade cooking and looked forward to those holiday meals. Jacqueline, your grandma loved your sweet, sensitive, and kind heart. You're a lot like her. She would never even harm a fly. She was so happy to be at your wedding. She had the time of her life. I'm so happy she was able to be there with her whole family. Besides you being the bride and the star of the night, your grandmother was truly a rock star that night. You made her so happy. Mom was a nanny to our neighbors' 2 boys back in Canada, Stephen and Michael. She was like a grandmother to those 2 boys as well, and they adored her. When we moved from Canada to Chicago, Mom just happened to be at the right place at the right time. She ran into our cousin Jill at Barnum and Bagel. Jill had just had her firstborn, Ari. Mom mentioned, if you ever need a babysitter. Well, the rest is history. Mom was there for 2 more Hoffman babies, Zoe and Nina. She absolutely adored those 3 kids, as well as their parents, Jill and Steve. Thank you for giving my mother so much purpose, love, and joy for so many years, all the way to the end. Mom had a deep love of tradition and keeping the family together, from making Friday night Shabbos meals to the holidays and her famous homemade gefilte fish, cabbage rolls, etc. Even just before going to the hospital, she kept talking to me, telling me she wanted to make cabbage rolls. Even with my insistence, I said, Mom, it's going to be too much for you. I always had the same answer. I can do it. I just need a little help from you. She had an incredible, determined spirit and overcame so many medical obstacles over the past so many years. Not many people could have endured what our mother went through. Mom was beautiful inside and out. She had a passion for her hair, her nails, her makeup, her clothing, and her accessories, and always had to be just so when she went out. I admired that quality in my mom so much. And even when she was so sick recently, she was concerned about looking her best. Mom loved mahjong too. From the time we moved to Chicago, she played with groups. When we moved into our condo building, she got the mahjong groups organized. And thanks to her, she organized the weekly Wednesday mahjong outing to the Chicago Mitzvah campaign. Even if she didn't feel well, she would push herself to go out. It was a highlight for her. And needless to say, Mom was thrilled when her daughters finally, after so many long years, learned to play Maj. Mom believed in charity and taught all of her girls the importance of it. She was always helping others before herself. She looked forward to her weekly Chinese food, sorry, Rabbi Wolf, which she loved, and her Sunday morning lox and bagels. Both of my parents made sure to give their girls a Jewish education. It was very important to them. It brought my mom such a joy and nachas to hear her girls in shul or to conduct and daven at home on the holidays. She said it was worth more than anything to her. She always told us how proud she was of that. And she loved her trips home to Canada for Pesach, for Passover. Those were our road trips together. I'll miss those. Thank you to her caregivers, Yatunde, Lynn, and Tosin, who took such good care of her. She cared for all of you. Lynn, you made her experience at Jacqueline's wedding extra special. Thank you to those family members for being by my mom's side constantly these last 3 weeks. And also to all of her friends and family for all you have done for her and for your support and love. And of course, Rabbi Wolf and the CMC for your constant assistance, support, and comfort through this whole ordeal. Mom, you will be with your beloved, Maury, my dad, our dad. May you rest in peace, and may your memory be for a blessing. I will always love you and miss you.
You stand here. Use your support. Our grandma was loved by so many. Not only was she the amazing, one-of-a-kind JiJi within our family, but at her favorite restaurants, the ones she was incredibly loyal to, she was practically a celebrity. She showed her love for everyone through her tight squeeze hugs and her legendary cooking, especially with her mashed potatoes and onions when it came to Jonathan and I. I'll remember her incredible resilience. No matter what life handed her, she carried herself with strength, grace, and determination, and it inspired everyone around her. No matter how she was feeling, she would never leave the house without her makeup, hair, and nails perfectly done, and always dressed in a fabulous outfit paired with matching jewelry. I'll carry with me her great love for flowers and plants, filling her space with life and beauty, a love that was passed down to my mom and then to me, and our homes are now a reflection of the joy she has passed down generation to generation. My favorite memories are of her teaching me her tap dancing skills when I was little, and when I got older, of our one-on-one conversations we had in her apartment, just watching the birds and having girl talk. She would answer my questions about her past like an open book, sharing her stories with honesty and warmth. Talking about honesty, you could always count on Grams to be honest no matter what. I'll never forget when I got my first prom dress. It was white with gold flowers, and I was so excited to show her. My mom and I went over, I tried it on, and she immediately shook her head no in disapproval. I was shocked, but JiJi, being the fashionista she was, I knew I had to listen, and looking back, she was absolutely right, and everything she did was out of love. Jonathan and I have been so lucky to have a grandma like you, one who always showed up, who loved a good celebration, and who lived life with such sparkle. I'll forever cherish the vision of you on the dance floor at our wedding, swinging glow sticks around with the biggest smile on your face. Life won't be the same without you, but I take comfort in imagining you on the dance floor in heaven with Grandpa, reunited with your soulmate. I love you so much, and I'll carry you in my heart always.
Tough follow. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today in honor of my grandmother, Jean, or JiJi as she was known on the streets. But to me, she's always just grandma. I met Jean in December of '87. It was a cold winter, And while I remember absolutely nothing of the time, I'm sure her golden blonde hair and her infectious smile were a sight to behold. As I got older, I began to understand the culinary genius that she was in the kitchen. And I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers, but Jewish food is not good. But my grandma's food was something different. No one's gefilte fish came close to what came out of that woman's kitchen. I even maintained a taste for it through the great Canadian whitefish sewer backup event of the early 90s when, to be brief, my grandma decided to hand grind all the fish and the pipes backed up and the house smelled really bad. And my mom locked me in a room with a TV and said, "Don't come out." And grandma's mashed potatoes were her heart and soul. Pan fried, caramelized onions tossed with chunky potatoes. They were perfect on their own, but my sister Jacqueline and I would always ask for ketchup to make it pink. Grandma was rightfully appalled. Oh, and her top kitchen hack, which I'll share with you guys today. She probably told it me 100 times. If you throw a cabbage in the freezer, it'll be easier to peel the leaves off so you can make cabbage rolls easier and stuff. And her vegetable soup was not always vegetables. It was like, I swear to God, I saw her pulling out turkey necks and marrow bones and all sorts of good stuff. On Friday night dinners, our Friday night dinners were like a sitcom. Grandma would be pacing between the kitchen and the dining room table and making sure we weren't stealing pickles off the pickle tray. And we would sit down to eat, and without fail, the buzzer would go off, and it was Uncle Sonny, like running casually late, like just fashionably late. And Grandma was always ready to give her a piece of her mind, and she was like, "Everybody's waiting. The food's getting cold." Nothing was wrong. We were all fine. We expected Uncle Sonny to come in late. We were always waiting, and then he'd give us a smile, and everything was okay. And after dinner, Uncle Sonny would teach me how to play blackjack, and Grandma would come bring a big old bowl of fruit on the table, and she would scream at Uncle Sonny for teaching me to gamble on the Sabbath. And she always had her nails done. She always had her hair done. She had the most amazing collection of accessories. I always made a point of complimenting her earrings or her necklace. My grandma loved coloring books, mahjong, sugar-free cookies, holding random babies. And in her final years, I think she had a bit of infatuation with like the local fire department, because I asked her if she was just falling on purpose. So like the guys she could come see the boys, and she would smile and like not give me a straight answer. So I love you, Grandma. Everybody here loves you. Rest easy and tell Grandpa I say hello.
Oof, okay. For those of you who don't know us, my sister Zoe and I, as well as our brother Ari, are some of the kids JiJi babysat. From the time that Ari was born until the time I was able to drive on my own, JiJi was with us while our parents were at work. Spending so much time together in such a formative chapter of my life meant that JiJi was like a third parent to me. She contributed as much to my upbringing as anyone besides my mom and dad. She taught me how to apologize when I did something wrong, and she taught me how to apologize even when I thought I was right. She taught me values of loyalty, family, and respect, and she taught me how to show up for the people that I care about. When I was younger, I figure skated quite a bit, and JiJi drove me to practice. Unlike everyone else's parents and babysitters, JiJi stayed at the rink and watched every single one of my practices. She was my biggest supporter and more invested in my skating than I was. Afterwards, she would buy me hot chocolate and rave about my skills, even though I was absolutely terrible. She would call me when there were figure skating competitions on TV so I could watch and we could talk about them together. It was a love that we shared, and her constant presence and devotion to me and my skating was truly representative of how she cared for us. She made me feel so special and so loved, and her support and encouragement was foundational to the development of my confidence. Everyone's been talking about JiJi's cooking, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention one of the greatest components of JiJi's legacy, which was her buttered noodles. She was so renowned for her noodles that my friends and I called them Joodles, a double meaning for JiJi's noodles and Jew noodles. And they were forever revered as the most legendary lunch a kid could have, with her 1-to-1 ratio of noodles to butter. I'll never have a better bowl of buttered noodles again for the rest of my life. JiJi, words cannot describe how lucky I feel to have spent my childhood with you. You're ingrained in just about every happy memory I have from growing up, and I'm so grateful to have had you by my side. We drove each other crazy sometimes, but the bond we had was special and pure and full of unconditional love. I miss you with every fiber of my being, and will remember the lessons you taught me and the memories we shared forever.
Nina stole a lot of what I was going to say, so I second that. But as Nina mentioned, JiJi helped raise us. She was such a big part of our lives growing up. We spent every single Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday with her for our entire childhood up until high school. She used to take us on walks in our strollers to feed the ducks and count the colored cars. She used to give us special flavored gum, and we used to love to sneak the garbage in her purse when she wasn't looking. She loved to make sure we were always staying healthy, never going out with wet hair, and always wearing socks so we wouldn't catch a cold. She always instilled good manners on us, and I always fought back. I even tried to fire her once when I was being a brat. And even after that, JiJi still stuck around and loved us. I know it seems crazy for us to keep talking about her buttered noodles, but JiJi just had the magic touch. They were and always will be my favorite food, and nothing compares. When I was writing this eulogy, I was eating buttered noodles in honor of JiJi, and I had to keep getting up to add more butter, and then add more salt, and then more butter and salt to try and make them taste like JiJi's, and then I had to stop. When we got older, JiJi would make us trays of buttered noodles to take home with us, and we would always have to pace ourselves to make sure we would eat them slowly so we could have them for longer. All my friends loved JiJi. They were always checking in on me to see how she was when she was in the hospital. And when I told them that she had passed, they were devastated and started sharing stories about how much they loved her and her noodles, and how they loved to come over after school and watch her tell me how to behave when I was little. She left a lasting impression on everybody. JiJi was positive, kind, loving, and nurturing. She always had a smile on her face with her lipstick on. Her hair was always done beautifully, and she always had a fresh manicure. I'm forever grateful for the time that we had together, and I'll love and miss her forever.
We will conclude with a mourner's prayer, followed by the special Kaddish. So please rise for the Kilmal Rachman. El Mole Rachamim, Shoichem Bameroimim, Hamtzei Menucha Nechoina, Al Kanfei Ashchina, B'Malois Kedoshim V'Toirim Kezoir Rakia, Mazhirim Es Nishmas, Eide, Hena Edel Bas Nisin Note Shol Chol Yoilamo Began Eden Teimen Uchoso Lochem Balarachamim Yastireyu B'Seis Kenaf of Loilamim Utzeroi B'Tzroi Rachaim Es Nishmosoi Adonai nachalosoi, v'sanuach b'shalom hamishkava, v'neimar, Amen. O God, exalted and full of compassion, grant perfect peace in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure, to the soul of Jean Gold, who is also known in Hebrew as Hannah Adel, the daughter of Nissen Noten, who she has gone to her eternal home. Master of mercy, we beseech you, remember all the worthy and righteous deeds that she performed in the land of the living. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. The Lord is her portion. May she rest in peace, and let us all say, Amen. Before I begin the Kaddish, this is a special Kaddish that's recited at funerals, but I made a commitment to the family that I will be reciting Kaddish throughout. The tradition is to say it for 11 months, morning, afternoon, and I'm going to begin right now. Yiskadal v'yiskadash mei rabo, v'yomoduhu asid l'ischadeto l'achyo meisaya, l'shach l'lo hechlei, u'lemifrak chayo lemifnei karto d'Yerushalayim, ולמעקר פולחנה נוכרה מערב ולעשו פולחנה קדישה תשמעיה לעשרי וזיבי וקורי ושכינתי ויצמח פוקני וקורי משיחי בחיי חוין וימי חוין וחיי לכל בית ישראל תסכלו דרכו וחפתו מייסנו מנונו וכל עמו בית ישראל בעגלו וזמן קריב אמרו אמן. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach V'Olam Olamei Omaya Yisparach V'Yishtabach V'Yispoar V'Yitromam V'Yitnasei V'Yithadar V'Yit'aleh V'Yithalal Shmei Dekutsha Berichu V'Yela Minko Bechata B'Shirata Tushbechata B'Nechemata Damiran V'Alma V'Imru Amen. Yehei Shlomo Rabba Min Shmaya Chayim Aleinu V'Kol Yisrael V'Imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Mramav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'Kol Yisrael V'Imru Amen.
Be seated for a moment. Friends, this concludes our service here at the chapel. Terminal will take place immediately at the family plot, the Waldheim Cemetery, gate 113. Upon return from the cemetery, the family will be sitting Shiva at the Julie Gold Residence, 8520, from 4:30 to 8 p.m. this evening, as well as tomorrow from 4:30 to 8 p.m. as well, and Friday from 2 to 4. In addition, memorial contributions in JiJi's memory can be made to the Chicago Mitzvah Campaign, the American Heart Association, or to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. That information, as well as more updated the Shiva information, is available on the folder you received on the way in. If you do not receive one, they are available on the way out. And for those who are watching online, that information is on the funeral home website. For those who wish to join the family, a procession to the cemetery will be forming just outside the funeral home parking lot. Couple words of safety. If you're going in procession, please make sure you obtain an orange funeral safety sticker, which can be placed on the inside portion, the windshield portion of your vehicle. For an additional measure of safety, our staff will be placing magnetic flags on the rooftop portions of your vehicles. Please drive as closely to the car in front of you as safety permits, especially as we drive through intersections. We want to avoid any large gaps and hopefully prevent any cars from entering. Please use your horn liberally while in procession, especially again through intersections. And please avoid, thank you, and please avoid talking on any cellular device while en route to the cemetery. The following individuals have been honored to serve as pallbearers. When I call your name, if you could please rise and stand next to JiJi's casket. Alan Katz, Jonathan Anza, Larry Herskovitz, Steve Hoffman, Ari Hoffman, Paul Herskovitz, Ryan McGuire, Alan Herskovitz, and the distinguished gentleman who's honored to serve to walk alongside the casket, Mr. Yaron Gold. We also have three individuals who will be serving as honorary pallbearers, and that is Tony Wallace, Stephen Hewitt, and Michael Hewitt. At this time, if I could ask everyone to please rise. We'll ask the pallbearers to step over next to the casket, please, as we escort the casket, the family, and the rabbi from the chapel.